Well, good morning. Welcome to Hope Church. It's so good to be here. This first song that we're going to be sharing today, my name's David, by the way. This first song we're going to be sharing today, it's based on Romans 8. And there's questions that are asked there, like if God is for us, who can be against us? Or who can separate us from the love of God? And this song draws from those verses and that chapter. So we can't do it right now, but I encourage you this week, read through Romans chapter 8 and think about what we are singing here today. We won't fear the battle, we won't fear the night, we will walk the valley with you by our side. You will go before us, you will lead the way. We have found a refuge only you can save. Sing with joy now, our God is for us. The Father's love is a strong and mighty fortress. Raise your voice now, no love is greater. Who can stand against us if our God is for us? Even when I stumble, even when I fall, even when I turn back, still your love is sure. You will not abandon, you will not forsake. You will cheer me on with never-ending grace. Sing with joy now, our God is for us. The Father's love is a strong and mighty fortress. Raise your voice now, no love is greater. Who can stand against us if our God is for us? Neither height nor depth can separate us. Hell and death will not defeat us. Who gave his Son to free us holds me in his love. Neither height nor death can separate us. Hell and death will not defeat us. He who gave his Son to free us holds me in his love. Sing with joy now, our God is for us. The Father's love is a strong and mighty fortress. Raise your voice now, no love is greater. Who can stand against us if our God is for us? Sing for joy now, our God is for us. The Father's love is a strong and mighty fortress. Raise your voice now, no love is greater. Who can stand against us if our God is for us? Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever sing. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart, and lead me in your love to those around me. Trust in you alone, and I will not be sure. I will build my life. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are, and fill me with your heart, and lead me in your love to those around me. I'm just going to allow us a moment here and time to go through that chorus one more time. We don't necessarily need to sing it loud, but just to let the words of it sink in, that there's no one like God who is holy and righteous and pure. There's no one beside him that measures up even close to him. And to ask God, our Heavenly Father, to show us who he is and to fill us with his heart and to lead us in his love to others around us. And there's so much written in that. So we'll just end off this little time with that chorus. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are. Fill me with your heart. Lead me in your love to those around me. Heavenly Father, I thank you for an opportunity to gather here to worship you. And God, fill us with your love, your truth. Guide us and use pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Please be seated.
Good morning and welcome to Hope Church. I'm James. I'm the pastor of care and discipleship here. Mike, our lead pastor, is on vacation this week, and we wish him a good week of rest and that he'd welcome him back again next week. If you're new here, you can find out everything you need to know about us at our Hope Hub, which might be on the screen. There we go. So you can scan that QR code, and it will take you to a part of our website that lists everything that's going on. There's also a spot there, I believe, where you can sign up for our weekly email, and then you'll get an email on Saturdays just giving you an update about what we're doing. I think you can also find information on how to give if you want to support what we do here as a church. One of the items that you'll find there right now is the Christmas parade, which in the beginning of December we help host our community after the parade, and we're looking for volunteers as well as donations of baking supplies. Our raw carrot staff are going to do the hard work of doing the baking, but we're looking for contributions of flour and sugar and so forth. So there's a link there to tell you exactly what we need, and you can sign up for it there. If you're new here, we take a 4-minute break just after these announcements so that parents can take kids to their programs, have time to come back, and not feel like they've missed anything. Today we'll take a little bit longer. We're going to, at 2 minutes, we're going to reset the clock so you get a total of 6 minutes. The reason being we've got coffee and treats at the back of the room, and so we want to give you a chance to grab a coffee. And then you can sit back down, and also throughout the morning, if you need a refill, just quietly go and grab a refill. There will be coffee also in the cafe after the service, so when the service ends, you can go to either place, get a cup of coffee, and then fellowship together. This morning, we're welcoming Brett Ullman to speak. He was here last night, and he did his talk on marriage, navigating everything. And he was here 2 years ago. Some of you might remember he has another talk that he does on parenting, navigating everything. And he has a book that he's written on that topic, which you can also find in the foyer after the service. And I'm sure Brett would love to take your questions there. This morning he's going to be talking about media and how to navigate that. So we're really excited to have him here. And So if you will pray, and then what I'd like to do is let the kids go first, and once that rush has sort of moved out, then get up and grab your coffee. So, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, thank you for this morning. Thank you for the opportunity to gather in your house for worship. May it be a blessing to you, God. May we bring you glory and honor with everything that we do here this morning. Pray for your blessing on Brett as he comes to speak. Give him everything that he needs. Supply him with everything that he needs to present the material to us, and may it be a blessing to us. We ask these things in your name. We love you, Jesus. Amen.
Good morning. How many of you were here 2 years ago when I was here? Just so I get a bit, and some of you not. Well, good morning. By the way, get up and get treats, pastries, whatever, coffees during my talk. I'm more than happy if you do that. My name's Brett. If you haven't heard me speak before, I come from Ajax, which will be an interesting drive home, just getting across the city. A little bit about me. My background is actually education. I'm a trained high school phys ed chemistry biology teacher who never taught high school. There were no jobs. So I went down and taught a couple behavioral classes, and then I taught Rotary Science to grades 7s and 8s in the Melbourne community of Scarborough, if you know that. And I left teaching a long time ago. I've been speaking now for 28 years. The first 10 of that, I was a teacher. And the last 3, I've actually been a registered psychotherapist and been doing therapy and this and trying to figure out how this all works together. But I speak on parenting. I speak today on media. I speak on mental health, which if you were here last time, it's actually why I'm sitting. I did a master's degree actually with your pastor down in Chicago. And after a long season for me of speaking around 300 speaking dates a year to pay for my master's, I graduated, and then I had a breakdown. It's been 13 years, and I still struggle with anxiety every day of my life. So there's some irony. I'm a speaker who speaks on mental health. I struggle with mental health, and I'm a psychotherapist. But 54, 55 doctors, practitioners, specialists later, I'm still unwell. And so it's an interesting journey. But I also speak on dating. I speak on men and a few other topics. I am married with 2 kids. This is the only time you'll ever see me in a suit. This is my wedding and funeral suit. This was a wedding. But this is my wife, Dawn. She's a pediatric home care case coordinator, if you know that terminology, up in Markham. And my daughter, Zoe, is up currently in Lakehead, starting her law degree. So she's in her first 3 months of that, which is amazing. And my son, Ben, just graduated Queens, and he's working on his master's in counseling, to which I said last night, people always say, oh, he's following in Dad's footsteps. And I'm like, no, I stole his dream. He's always wanted to be a therapist. And then kind of later in life, I went into that as well. But our favorite family member is actually Phoebe. Phoebe's our English bulldog. So I get a chance this morning to speak on a tough topic, media, technology, this. What do we do with this? And one of my favorite quotes is from a futurist. His name's Alvin Tollefson, and he says this: "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who can't read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." Reminds me a bit about, you guys are going through Ezra and Nehemiah, this rebuilding. I think we need a bit of tearing down and a bit of rebuilding on how and what we do with these things. So we're going to look, it's a little unorthodox for a Sunday morning, but we're going to walk through a bit of social media conversations with a little bit of video games, music, streaming, and TV. That is, by the way, one slide for video games, music, and streaming. But how do we connect our ancient faith with our modern world? How do we, as a church, equip and steward this kind of technology? How do we help our parents? And so this is kind of, if we're a village, how do we all help each other in this discussion? So first, why this topic matters to the church, the greater church. Number one, because technology is forming identity, values, habits, and desires. Someone is discipling your congregation every day, and it might not be Jesus. And so this is a discipleship issue. Number two, because our attention is being hijacked. Spiritual growth requires focus, silence, reflection, and presence, and tech often, I'm not saying always, forms the opposite. I'm 54. If you're my age, you might remember media talks. Everything's bad, right? Don't dance, don't drink, don't smoke. All movies are bad. All video games are bad. That is not this morning, just let me say that. Number three here, because social media is shaping identity, people are defining themselves through likes, comparisons, curated images, and online affirmations, and a few more. Mental health impacts, tech impacts mental, physical, emotional, and relational health. And so this is kind of a pastoral care concern here. Because devices are reshaping families. We now say with children, they're now growing up in what we call altered childhoods, which is one of the first times in human history we're seeing this. And so we as the church must help families steward technology well. Because we are called to be wise and not passive. Romans 12 warns us not to be conformed to the world. And because technology can be used for kingdom purposes. This is not an anti-tech message, it's a wisdom message. And I might just kind of say overall, we do not drift into healthy tech habits. This has to be some strategy and intentionality, but we all need to look at helping people use tech wisely and helping us to live deeply as disciples of Jesus. So just some thoughts. Number one, we're not going back. I said recently, we're not putting the genie back in the bottle, to which afterwards someone came up and said, Brett, we're Christians, we don't believe in genies. And I'm like, you're really missing what I was trying to say with that statement. There's no theology of genies, but my point is, we're not going back. We're not going back to a time, and I remember no technology, and then I remember technology, and some of you, similar to my age, know that. And then two kind of tensions here. Number one, we can't put our head in the sand and say everything's fine. Anyone like me be willing to say, just by raising your hand, that in the last day you've opened your phone for no reason, looked around for 5 seconds, turned it off, and put it down? Anybody? Good to see a lot of honest people. Like, this is interesting, right? For no reason, you open technology. Your brain said, I'd like a little dopamine boost. And you're like, all right, and you did it for no reason. But we also can't have a hatred or a fear of technology. I'm at a talk recently, and a mom comes up and she says, did I do a disservice to my kid? I'm like, that's an interesting thing to say. What do you mean? She said, well, my son's never touched tech. We have no TV, no internet, no Wi-Fi. He doesn't have a screen, no iPad, no iPhone, no nothing. And I said, oh, that's very Amish-like, right? Just no technology. And I said, oh, is he in grade 3, grade 4? She said, no, he's in grade 12. And I'm like, oh, what's the problem now? And she said, well, he's been accepted at a university, and he and I are struggling trying to figure out how to log him in and choose his residence. Did I do a disservice? And I'm like, yes. I'm going to take it out of context, but my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. Like, he can't even log in to pick his residence. And I said, what will he do when he has to hand in things digitally? And she said, oh, well, he'll hand it in, pen and paper. And I'm like, you're not allowed to. Like, everything is done digitally. And I do think we can do this. There is lots of people and lots of students and adults doing well with technology, but I would put forth, I think we can do better. So how we engage with technology affects everything. It affects our body, our mind, our soul, and one often not thought about, one I want to think about today is our Christian witness. I've been working out at the same gym for about a decade. A couple years ago, a guy walks up to me. We're not working out together, not a Christian guy. He comes up to me very angry, and he looks at me and he goes, I want to tell you something. And I'm like, okay. He says, I will never set foot in church for the rest of my life because of you people. I'm like, you people? I said, tall people? I thought it was hilarious. He didn't laugh. He goes, no, you Christians. And I'm like, what's going on? And he just said, I'm online last night. Why is it that the only people arguing and fighting online are my Christian people that I follow online? And he went in this tirade. And I just said, oh, you think that is Jesus? And I just felt sad, because he didn't delineate between who Jesus is and the way we argue sometimes online. Our biblical worldview, by the way, should affect our values, and that in turn should affect our actions. And there's just a huge conversation of the stewardship of our time and our lives. What do we do? What do we listen to? What do we scroll through? We, as Christians, do life differently, and our Christian worldview should have a serious effect on all aspects of our lives. So I had an older talk on media, and I began to research this one, and I began to read, and every book that I promote, I have on my website. At the very end of the talk, I'll tell you how to find it, but these are the media ones. Anybody read Anxious Generation, by the way? One of the big conversations, a little on the fear side, but all peer-reviewed research, which scares me. But there's a whole bunch here. Then I read studies, like actual studies. I watched way too much YouTube and TED Talks, and I talked to thousands of parents and students, and one night my wife Dawn says to me, how's the talk going? And I closed my laptop and I said, I quit. Where do you even start with technology? I could spend all day talking about what we listen to, all day talking about video games or just social media. The next morning, I'm online just flipping through something, and it says, when you don't know where to start, where are you in alignment? And I'm like, that's a very interesting thought. So here's my statement. Not all technology is bad. Not all technology is good. But technology is powerful and can affect us in many ways. Fair? I think we'd all go, that's a fair sentence. I don't think it doesn't matter your age or stage. We'd all say that's probably a fair sentence. But Jill once said, the arrival of the smartphone radically changed every aspect of, and I'm going to change teenagers to all of us, from our social interactions to our mental health. I would put forth that we as adults are often saying, look, teens and young adults and their tech use. And I would say, I think we're floundering more. And when I speak and ask adults, we've grown up with no tech and then tech, and it's a hard switch for us. So usually with tech, we talk about bad. I want to start with the good. Music's my favorite thing in the world. That I can turn to my Alexa and just say, Alexa, play almost any song in human history. You want praise and worship music? On. You want instrumental? On. Anything, it just plays it. Podcasts. On the way here, I was doing an audiobook. This morning, I'm just doing my Bible app. It's just reading it to me as I'm driving over here from my hotel. On the way home, I will go on my own church's sermon from this morning, and I can just get, like, at any moment, all the teaching and preaching and learning on the planet is right there for you. Social media. Last night I posted where I'm speaking, and my prayer team from all over the world will pray for me, my family, and you and your congregation for the next week. I love that. And maps. I just put maps. Anybody remember actual maps? Remember triptychs from CAA? If you were, and some if you're younger, you're like, what is that? There were no such thing as like Waze or Google Maps. So if you were going to drive here to Florida, you'd get a book this thick from CAA, and then you would go like here to Niagara Falls, and then Niagara Falls to Buffalo, and today, on the way home, I'll just click home, and it will take me. And if there's an accident, it reroutes me, and it's wonderful. Communication. It was 2 summers ago. My daughter's working at the Banff Fairmont Springs Hotel. Amazing. My son is up at a camp called Minneoe. He's a director that summer. My wife is somewhere, and I'm somewhere in the country speaking. All 4 of us are on FaceTime together. I actually got teary. Because in a disconnected world at times, it allows us to be connected at any moment. And video games, anybody remember when games began? I remember when Pong came out. Anybody with me? I remember, like, saying to my friend, look at the shading on the ball as it goes back and forth. Like, it will never get better than this. Like, this is it. And today, games are made by hundreds and hundreds of people over years and years and years. But my concern with video games is we now have adventures online, and we're stopping having adventures offline. And that's a big, big problem. And when I say YouTube is all knowledge, I'm not calling it omnipotent, and I jokingly just say, but it knows a lot. I'm installing a dishwasher. I am not good with that kind of stuff, and I get stuck. And so I type in my model, and some guy somewhere is like, I click the video, he goes, are you stuck here? And I vocally say back to my screen, I am. And he says, here's how to fix it. And I just thought, this is great. And for many of you, you used to watch TV on Thursday nights at 9 o'clock, because that's when you watched the show, whatever day and time it was. Now we just turn on a streaming service and everything's there. So there's some wonderful things, but the statistics worry me. We all spend between 7 and 14 hours a day on our screens. One of my biggest concerns is, as our screen time pushes out, what is it pushing out of our lives? Our devotional time, our exercise, our family time, our time with our spouses, our time with our children, and the list goes on. 2 to 5 hours of that are on social media, and that statistic, as a side note, is not for teenagers, it's for all of us. All of us. But 37% of teens spend over 5 hours a day. Now, here's one of the most important screen time conversations. Not all screen time is equal. Growing up, it was easy to say you get 2 hours a day or 3 hours on a weekend because TV was the TV in the house, and you watched a television show, a movie, or played a video game. Today, am I on the Bible app on my iPad? Am I creating a YouTube video, or am I watching a YouTube video? Am I active? Am I passive? Do you see why screen time becomes this, there's a nuanced conversation? And research, this is actual research. Like when it says Walks and Weinstein, this is 2 people who did a research study. And this is peer-reviewed research, which means someone at another university did the same study, found it to be true, and now we just say it's true. A smartphone, just having one, impacts many things, and it increases our sleepiness and decreases sleep quality. But what do you see with tech? Because what I see begins to worry me. I'm walking the other day, it was actually last spring, and I'm walking past a park near my house, and I stopped because something was just wrong. And I looked, and there were 12 to 15 parents all sitting on benches and rocks, each of them scrolling on their phones, no one speaking. And in the middle were 12, 15, 20 kids just milling around, everyone looking bored. Those are formative years, parents. They're very important. Jump higher. You can do it. You can cut. Like, it's that being involved with family, but no one was. Decrease in in-person relationships. And we use our phones everywhere. Last week, a guy goes by me, I'm raking leaves, and he goes by on his bike with a coffee in one hand, and he's on his phone on the other, and I'm like, that's pretty awesome. Like, I'm just like, how does he do that? Then he almost got killed as he went through a stop sign, but that's another conversation. So with tech, I just say this, is what you're currently doing helping support the life you're working towards? If it is, great, keep doing it. But if it's not, I would put forth that we're not bringing the best versions of ourselves into our faith. We're not bringing the best versions of ourselves into our relationships and our families. We don't bring the best versions of ourselves into work. And whatever you're not changing, we're choosing. And so there needs to be sometimes a radical paradigm shift in how we use our tech. So we're going to talk about 8 components of social media, but I will say, for those of you like, I'm not on social media, this can be extrapolated to everything. And if any of you are here and you're like, I'm not on any of these things, then we are the church, and this is your congregation. What affects one of us affects all of us. It might allow you to know what you need to pray for and how you can support others. So social media use, the day we get it, has been shown to decrease well-being and increase depression and anxiety. Now, for those of you who struggle with depression and anxiety, I could throw my phone away today, and I'm still not getting better. It's not as simple as that. For some people, it is, because roughly, I hear 30 to 40% of some of the anxiety and depression comes from technology, but it's so nuanced. And if you're like, what is social media? This is social media. And you know how old you are right now if you know all of these, or if you don't. No offense. If you read it like a book, Facebook's the biggest, 3.7, 3.8 billion users. There's 8+ billion people in the world. We've never had something connecting so many. And all the way through to the end, which is a site called Discord. And the 3 that I've underlined are, you might say, well, those are more like communication tools. WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and Snapchat, but communication, like sharing or exchanging of information, is social media. If we had to say one thing that worries us with social media, it's comparison. Galatians 1:10, am I now seeking the approval of men or of God? Look through your feed. I don't care what age you're. I'm in my 50s, and if I go through my feed, I don't own the right car, my house is not good enough, and physically I need broader shoulders, bigger chest, I got to lose weight, I'm not eating right, I don't have enough protein in my life. Like, this could be in one sitting. And I don't care who we are affected by that in some way, shape, and form. I asked my daughter Zoe, what do you think of the comparison game? And she said, even when you love your life, and she said, which I do, it's tough not to compare. Now, we could have another whole conversation here as a side one, but like this does disproportionately affect women over men, especially our young women over men, and there's another whole discussion there. If you've read The Anxious Generation, there is a Substack. Substack are long-form blogs, and if you want to read some really interesting content here, Jonathan Haidt and Freya India wrote this thing called After Babel, constantly comparing our beauty, success, lifestyle, popularity to infinite streams of other people make us feel anxious and inadequate. And almost half of adolescents, and I would say all of us, say that social media makes us feel worse about our bodies. So what I want to do with each of these is a quick discussion, and I want to give you some remedies. I was going to call this the antidote, but that meant the other thing was poison, and I'm like, that sounds a little too much fear-based. But number one here is friendships, people. One of the amazing things that we as the church have to offer is people. I love, both last night and this morning, I love just standing and watching. People come in, you see friends and people you love, and you hug, and you're together. Like, there's something powerful about people, and research is very clear. The more quality friendships you have, the less the comparison game will ever bother you. Because yes, our identity is in Christ, but when your friends also say, you're good, there's something powerful about that. I say we need to limit our exposure, and the Bible is filled with gratitude. I challenge all my clients as a therapist to do the 3 good things game every day. What are 3 things you're thankful to God for today? Do it today and do it tomorrow. If you do it for a month, research says 7 months later, your mood will be affected. And just some kind of self-awareness. If you have an iPhone, as a family, we have always used the Screen Time app. If you're an Android person, there's one called Digital Wellbeing. Number 2 is misinformation. Now, this is a very interesting one, and this is where I think our Christian witness gets affected. Misinformation is just wrong. Disinformation is wrong on purpose. Now, you've gotten taken by misinformation if you've ever shared Justin Bieber's new song, Holy Jesus. If you just even read the YouTube clip, it says right on it, this is an AI experiment. And it was shared all over as people I know were debating on Justin's faith and other things. If 2 springs ago you shared about the eclipse and the last 3 eclipses formed a cross, it wasn't true. But we just quickly hit share. And again, what we forget to realize is when you click share or like on something, but even just a like, other people will see. Just the day before I came, Saturday morning, I said to my wife, oh, you liked something. She said, what do you mean? She had just liked something, and it showed up on my Facebook feed. It said, liked Don Ullman. Like, people you know will see things. Do we take some time to consider how will that land on other people, especially our friends and people around us who don't know Christ? Some people have the ability to post. Other people have the authority or right to post. One of our concerns right now is a lot of people diagnosing themselves with mental illnesses, pathology, because of YouTube. I'm at a talk, and a 16-year-old girl walks up, and she says, I have bipolar. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry, that's really big. I said, where did you get diagnosed? And she said, well, I was on a YouTube video 2 years ago. And I'm like, uh-oh. And she said, yeah, it said if you're happy sometimes and sad others, you have bipolar. And I'm like, or you're human. You've all felt happy and sad other times. But for 2 years, she's been living her identity as somebody with a mental illness. Many of us live in echo chambers. Echo chambers would be if you all were to leave right now and I'm alone and I just talk, I just hear my voice bouncing back at me. Social media has become that. The algorithms give us content based on what we engage with, meaning if we like something, we get more of it, which means everything you see is different than what someone else sees, and everything you see agrees with you. And it's a problem, because if we're trying to engage different, I have not arrived in my life, my faith, my marriage, anything, but if everything I see tells me everything I'm doing is right, I'm never challenged. I have to work on following people. And before you ever share, I didn't create think it's all over. Is it true, helpful, inspiring? Is it necessary, or is it kind? Now, what is this? This is just Philippians 4-8 wrapped in a different kind of way. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, honorable, just, pure, lovely, commendable, excellent, and if anything worthy of praise, think on these things. Mary Jo Sharp goes back to our Christian witness. Irresponsibility with information unravels the impact of a Christian's witness to those in their community and with social media to the broader world. What you like has ripples far beyond the small click. And I think we forget that sometimes. So the remedy? We need to all have media awareness. If you're in school still, we teach this as educators, and strengthen your digital literacy. And the last one's just a collection. Avoid confirmation bias. Make sure you're following and reading people who might be different than you. Follow diverse accounts. Engage in dialogue, never online. Dialogue is wonderful. Iron does sharpen iron, but iron sharpens iron at Tim Hortons with a coffee. It does not sharpen iron when we're on Facebook and we're just yelling back and forth. No one's ever through a Facebook diatribe said, "Oh, I see your point. I have changed my mind." Like, it doesn't happen. Number 3 is the decreased attention span. Author Cal Newport recently said, "The ability to focus is becoming the scarcest commodity of the 21st century." When I travel and speak to pastors and teachers and youth pastors, the idea of speaking is becoming this. People are saying, I'm going to have to make shorter, like people are not able to engage. I wonder if you find it hard to watch full-length movies. A few years ago, Avatar 2 came out. Anybody watch it? 3 hours and 30 or 40 minutes or so, whatever it was. I texted my kind of group friends. I'm like, hey, who wants to go see Avatar? And someone said, I can't see movies that long anymore. Sorry, I said, you can't see movies that long, like you've never liked them, or you can't see movies that long anymore? He said, oh, anymore. I'm like, it's because we're used to 8 seconds. Everything's become reels. Everything. Doesn't matter what social media platform you're on, they're vertical reels. 8 seconds, 8 seconds, 8 seconds. After 8 seconds, how do you sit and listen to a pastor or a teacher or someone speak for 40 minutes or an hour? How do you just sit and have prayer time? How do you sit and read your Bible? Because you have to actually just sit and read. And this is, look at the last one. How many books do you read this year? Almost 60% of North Americans said none. I read a research study a year and a bit ago. It says upwards of 90% of Christians didn't even open the Bible Sunday to Sunday. I think we need to almost socialize ourselves back into reading. Like, we need to read Scripture daily. It might mean just starting with just something, maybe even a chapter, something to get us sitting and reading again. And for books, read 3 pages a day. Psalm 46, be still and know that I am God. We're struggling with being still. Side note, if you struggle with anxiety, 6 minutes of reading decreases your stress by 68%. I often, when I just have a few minutes, tell my Siri or my Alexa, set me a 6 or 10-minute timer. It's just little things I can put into my life. John Mark Comer says, I want to be fully present to the moment, to God, other people, work in the world, and my own soul, and that's more than enough to consume my attention. I want you to think of this idea of being fully present wherever you're at. If you're in church, you're in church. If you're at home, be at home. If you're with family or a spouse or a friend, be present with them. No phones in between us, no laptops out. The remedy, screen-free times. Do you have any? We should. And reading books. And if you are a parent of younger kids, we read together. Read. It's such an important thing. Now, kind of a side one, but cyberbullying. It's Charles Blow, the American journalist, who once said, one doesn't have to operate with great malice to do great harm. The absence of empathy and understanding are sufficient. And I hear from people online, this is what they see in arguments. In 1 Peter, have unity in mind, sympathy, brotherly love, and a tender heart and a humble mind. How do you talk to each other online? If I was to grab your phone and scroll through your social media, if I could look at your messages app and scroll through things, how do we speak? I didn't really know how to talk about cyberbullying, so I thought, I'm going to go on my YouTube channel and I'll pull out all the comments people have said to me that I find a little off. My favorite is, you're not 6'6". Who are you? You don't even know who I am, and this is all you see. You see a little square online. Someone wrote, the Waffle House has found its new host. And so for 2 years, I didn't know what this meant. 2 years. I'm like, the Waffle House is like a dirty diner, I guess, and I'm like the host of that dirty diner. Like, I don't know what that means. 2 years ago, I'm speaking at a Christian school in Fergus, and a young 18-year-old comes up and he goes, you know what that is, right? And I'm like, no. He goes, it's an influencer, tells me this person's handle, and he says, he challenged all of his followers to spam with no context that. and it got out of hand. And they pulled it offline, but it kept going out ripple after ripple. And you will now see this. If you look on comments, you'll start to see this. It's all over the world. I don't trust your haircut. You're a stupid man. You are old and ugly. Who are you to talk about mental health? I hate your shirt. Fair. It was a big, bright, flowery shirt, and I liked it. And I get quite often, I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Christian because I think if you do struggle with mental health, after we do all the things that we can do, exercise, sleep, nutrition, all these things, if you need medication, it's okay. I get called not a Christian because I sit when I speak, and I kind of write back, I have a verse that Jesus sat, so I have theology, we should all sit, and it's tongue-in-cheek, it's not true. But part of this makes me wonder, I don't know if people know the basics of Christian faith, because it's not like we believe in the Trinity, the resurrection, and not or taking meds. Like, it's such a far way down. We used to say this is majors and these are minors, but here's the world we live in now. Well, if you don't believe the minors, how could you ever believe the majors? And we roll it all together. Now, the problem with this is, as a grown adult, do you think after I'm called stupid, old, and ugly, do I walk into my day with a smile on my face, or do I walk into my day, all right, and I say, picture being 15, picture being 12. And the truth is, for all of us, this is not good stuff. I love Augustine, and we challenge if it's Augustine, but we think it's him. The things we agree on, unity, and the things we disagree on, liberty, but in all things, love. And be careful not to dehumanize people, says Eugene Cho, pastor and author. Be careful to dehumanize people you disagree with. In our own self-righteousness, we can easily become the very thing we dislike in others. One of the problems we have is, in my day, when I went home, I was always safe, meaning I was huge. I was 6'1", I think, in grade 7 or 8, but my weight did not keep up with me. I was very thin and very tall, and I was bullied. Then I hit high school and the world changed for me. But every time I would go home, I was fine. It was my street, my friends, my family. Today, when you go home as a young person, the online world is there, and it gets actually worse, not better. Remedy for cyberbullying, strengthen and grow our digital literacy, building support systems. Again, the more good, close friendships we have. If you can be in person or online, we're in person. We need more people and parents. This is where we create play dates for our kids when they're younger. We have small groups in our homes. We have friends and other people over, and we set boundaries. Just a few more privacy issues. It's interesting. I don't know if everyone realizes that the internet is mirrored. web.archive.org. I typed in my name, and I found my website from 2003. Fully functionable online, clickable. I was clicking on my tour dates. I don't own this. This is 5 or 6 renditions from where I am today with my website, that my web design, like this is not on my servers or anything. Like this actually, if you remember, like this was a flag that was flapping in the wind. Do you remember that kind of internet day? Like that's how old this is. A friend of mine is a headhunter. Do we all know that term? Headhunter helps someone look for work. And so I said, when someone applies for work, do you Google them? Do you search online for them? And she said, we would never do that. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. I thought you would. And she said, we have a company that does it for us. And then she laughed. But she said they do a deep dive on any person applying for any position, and we find everything they've ever done. My birthday's in June, and I always find it amusing how many message boards from my first year university send me a happy birthday email. I'm 54. I was 18 in my first year university. And I still get happy birthday from Flyer Talk forums and these other, like I haven't been on them in decades, but what you post is there. And I just say we have to be careful. And we as parents have to equip our kids to understand what they post is going to be there. So we avoid sharing sensitive information. We guard our reputations, and we do review our settings online. I do think we very quickly call social media or tech use addiction, and I just say currently it's not an addiction. It may be one day, but currently it's actually not. My friend Carrie once said, humanity is addicted to silencing the emptiness with whatever means available. This is where we head into a mental health discussion. I actually put self-harm as a bigger umbrella and like scrolling TikTok or Instagram or Facebook into this. We have a bad day at work, we're struggling in our marriage, we're struggling in our parenting, we're struggling with our parents, we're struggling with our faith or something else, but as opposed to turning to whatever that is and dealing with it and walking through it, we go online and we scroll. which doesn't change anything. Simon Sinek, he's a thought leader, not a faith-based, but a thought leader, brilliant. He says he's talking to young adults, but I would say it's any of us. They don't have coping mechanisms in their lives. They don't turn to a person, they turn to a device, app, or tech. We need to turn to people. Again, this is what we as the church have to offer, people. When you see people in church, ask how you're doing, and they're going to say, good. Ask them again. Ask 2 times. Because the first time you'll get good. The second time, it was me this morning. People say, how are you doing? Good. Someone said to me, how are you really doing? I'm like, I'm exhausted. Like, there were 3, I think there was a ringette group, a hockey troupe, and a dance troupe in my hotel last night. Like, it was very, very busy. But isn't it funny? How are you? Good. How are you really doing? It's interesting how many, like, this is where people come into play, where we can journey life with each other. Like, we are the church. We are here to journey life with you, whatever you're going through. And the remedy for this would be daily screen time limits and using screen time apps. And this kind of word blob, or whatever we call it here, fitness is an interesting one that came up big. Why? Because all the research is very clear. As we push more tech into our life, what gets bumped out? Fitness is one of the biggest. And fitness is the most protective thing for your life. And for me, I love walks. I walk by the lake. I live near the lake in Ajax, and it's kind of my prayer time. For me, I see God in nature, and some of you are the same. But that gets booted out. 2 left. 1 is sleep. We say we value sleep, but do you? Because we say we value sleep, we get into bed, then we scroll for another hour, or we put the TV on and we watch something. 30% of teens say that they've been awoken at night by a call, a text, or a notification. Jonathan Haidt says, social media steals the time we should be sleeping and then makes us feel inadequate when we wake up. The remedy for disrupted sleep, digital curfews. We should have a time when we stop technology. Sleep hygiene. I don't know if anyone knows the name Andrew Huberman. He is a neuroscientist, a big health guy online, but he says 10-3-2-1. 10 hours before bed, no caffeine. 3 hours before bed, no food. 2 hours before bed, no liquids. 1 hour before bed, no blue screens. The blue screens is the hardest for most of us. And just recognize the importance of sleep. Have you ever had a horrible night's sleep? You've gotten back from a vacation, you've had to be up really late for something and tried to have a few moments with Jesus in the morning? Sleep's the foundation, right? Like, I'm writing a new book right now, and it's just, sleep's the foundation to allow us to journey with faith, with life, with family, with everything. And one of the ones that's beginning to really concern us is the decrease of social skills. Now, this quote is I call them stop quotes, because it said a line. It was the first time I've seen it, and I believe this is where we've changed as a society. Social media doesn't make Gen Z afraid to miss out. It makes us want to miss out. We want to avoid the risk, the rejection, the awkwardness, the effort, and energy that the real world demands. And here's the line. Our major problem isn't the fear of missing out, FOMO. It's the fear of taking part. It's the first time I've seen where I think we've now changed as a society for our young people. In September, a woman came up to me and she said, it's interesting, she said, this is my daughter. Grade 9 girl, did not leave the house for the entire summer other than to go to church for 1 hour on a Sunday morning. You do not need a degree in counseling to say, that little girl's in trouble. There's a lot going on with that. But it used to be parents would say to me, Brett, my kids are never home Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. How do I get them to come home? And we talk about family nights and these things. Now they say, my kid never leaves the house. Look at how many young people are scared of doing everyday things. I don't just mean the fear of learning to drive. We've gone from 96 to 98% of people have their license by the time they're 18 to 42%. Staggering shift, and this is the fear-based parenting coming in. Or getting a job, I mean scared to order in restaurants, can't walk into a cafe and don't want to open their door for a delivery. This is where we as adults play a really big role in helping and supporting our kids in these things. And students, we need to get out, right? The closed door, I would rather you have an open door first, or I'd rather you come down and just sit with your family, but we need to not just be alone. The remedy for this is in-person activities as much as we can get, limiting screen time, and growing life skills. And this could be everything from cooking to cleaning to learning how to have good quality friendships. Now, this is what I've talked about this morning, and it's all of the concerns with the remedies. And my goal in the next few years is to try to find some really good teaching on this, no matter what it is. And I'm going to be posting this on my website and on my social media. And if you have some great things, please send me a message. But This is where we all together have to find a way to engage better in this. But just some really practical social media tips. Number one, decrease your smartphone use by 1 hour a day. The research is very clear. Start with 1 hour a day. I don't know where it ends, because I'm still going to be using my phone, but it's trying to use it less. You don't need to engage if someone has a different opinion. When you see a different opinion, you are more than welcome just to scroll on by. Or you could engage yourself. Why do they have a different opinion? What is my opinion like? Number 3, turn off as many notifications as possible. Every time your Apple Watch taps you in notifications on your phone or laptop, look at it. Was it worth it? You just had brain chemistry change. A couple of years ago, my phone taps me, or my watch, and I look down and it says, someone who hasn't tweeted in a while tweeted. What? Like, onto my phone, into my notifications, and I'm like, I find Twitter, and I'm like, off, off, off. Like, you are in charge. We are not victims in this. You are in charge of your tech. Like, when I'm speaking, I have my stuff off, but I also know if my family texts me or calls me. There's things that I'm happy to know. My daughter called me while I'm speaking last night. I'm okay with that. But nothing else can get through. And lastly, follow content specifically so your social media feed are filled with useful information. It's been about a year and a bit since I created my talk on marriage, but if I go to my YouTube channel, the wall is still just sermons on marriage and clips and quotes and books. By the way, you know who you are if you just scroll through any social media, especially TikTok or Instagram. Scroll through 40 things. That's who you are. For me, I will get a ton of, well, to be honest, I'll get a ton of English bulldogs, because I have one and I love English bulldogs. I'll get a whole ton of quotes and verses, just short things. I get some sermon series, and I get a lot of fail blogs. I don't know why. I get a lot of people crashing on bikes and skateboards. Some of you are with me in that. But when you say, oh, look what it gives me, I'd say be careful with what you're looking at. So I want to do one conversation here, some resources, and then we're done. So first off, we could spend all day here. I am a huge, I like video games. I'm a big music fan. And I would just say we need to change our paradigm of this. We're still using this paradigm of Christian music good, quote-unquote secular music, I don't like that, bad. Now, the problem with that is, A, there's nothing in the Bible about that, but 2, what we do is if we believe that, we create blind, non-discerning students. Because not everything Christian is good, musically, lyrically, theologically. No offense to musicians, but they're not theologians. Sometimes you're going, does that word rhymes, but is it right? And not everything, quote-unquote, secular is bad. Years and years ago, a woman was the most angry anyone's ever been. She comes up, she's literally poking me in the chest. She's like, you are wrong. You can't tell me a single secular song that's not evil. And I'm like, challenge accepted. How about Happy Birthday? I've never seen someone so angry at Happy Birthday in my life. Her face got red. She turned around. And listen, if me saying Happy Birthday blows up your worldview, with all respect, you need a new worldview. But we need to be discerning. Today we have praise and worship music. There is very little of the old kind of Christian music. In the middle, we would have artists who sing about great things that might not know Jesus, marriage, love, relationships. And then there's artists who are Christian who sing in the mainstream world. Matt Carney, I saw him in Toronto recently, musician, sings about travel and many other things. Love him. NF, who just dropped, he's one of the #1 EPs in the planet right now. Faith-based rapper singing on mental health. There's lots of this. Then there's music we shouldn't listen to. But it's thinking through these things. But I want to put it all into one kind of encapsulated thought. I was invited to speak at a church retreat for their high school and young adults. And I just wrote their pastor, I said, hey, I don't know how you'll contact everyone, but could you ask them all a simple question? On Saturday night, I want to see how many people are willing to give me their phones. I just want to have some fun. I want to plug it into the data projectors, and I want to go on their YouTube channel, and I want to look at the wall and what it brings up. I want to go onto their Spotify or their Apple Music and see what it's offering them. Does anybody want to guess out of 125 people, how many people said yes? 0. Including the pastor and his wife. But this is my concern. Pastor and his wife, no. The adult leadership team, no. They had youth and young adults, a leadership team. None of them, and not a single student. There is a disconnect between what we say and what we do. If I can't hand you my phone right now and say, here, there's a problem. Forget going into video games, music, and streaming. If I can't just hand my phone to any person, including right now for me, like my wife, my children, my friends, or you, there should be no difference in who I am last night at a hotel than when I'm at home with my wife tonight, or my children, or any other. There should be no difference. But if we're embarrassed at our video games, our music, and our streaming, there should be a little bit of our worldview should affect what we do, what we listen to, and other things. So some concluding thoughts, some resources, and we're done. Someone said to me, but I still don't know what to do with time, how many hours a day. And I'll give you what we used in our family, because we never used hours a day. We used the rocks analogy. I'm assuming some of you have heard this before. If there's a jar, you can put in the big rocks, the small rocks, or pebbles, or sand. And depending on the order they go in, you create a sustainable or an unsustainable life. The big rocks are the things that matter. This is your faith practices. This is your school or work, your family time, your daily physical activity, screen-free time, face-to-face, being with people, good sleep, good nutrition, and the list could go on. The small rocks could be your chores. I can vacuum today or tomorrow. I can grocery shop today or tomorrow. Could be hobbies. But the sand is all social media. It's all video games. It's all sports. I say that as a sports person, and all streaming. So you can see the one on the left, the person put the sand in first, then the small rocks, but the big rocks didn't fit. That is an unsustainable life, and at some point something breaks. So what is not getting done here? Is this your faith practices? Is it your family time? Is it your health? But if we put our faith practices in first, when you plan your day out, how am I going to spend time with Jesus? What do I need to get done for school or work? When will we have family time? Then you put in the smaller things, and then we let our kids fill with whatever they wanted with the rest of the time. It is interesting how growing up, anybody remember going to Blockbuster? How many movies did we always get? 2. Almost all of us. And we'd come home and watch 2 movies. But today, if someone spends 3 hours playing a video game, we're like, oh, it's interesting. It's a bit of hypocrisy sometimes. It's like, I can watch an entire Blue Jays game, but my kid can't play some game online for the same amount of time. But I love this, because this is now how to live your life and your faith. This kind of encompasses everything all together. 3 incredibly basic tips. If you have your phone out of arm's reach, you'll use it 40% less. 40, because the moment you're bored, you pick up your phone. My daughter and my son, if I'm going to go sit down on a chair, couch near them, I often sit on their phones. Why? Because they take their phone and they throw it. But isn't it smart? They throw it over there. Then when they're bored, they have to turn to someone and talk, right? They're using and finding strategies to engage different. The other one is face down. If it's face down, you'll use it another 20% less, because the moment there's a notification, we look at it. That's 60%. That's a staggering amount just by putting it face down and away from you. Number 2, give yourself permission to not follow what everyone else is doing. Girl in grade 9 comes up to me, and her hands are shaking. She struggles with anxiety, and she said, Brett, I need to sleep. I just can't. I'm like, tell me. She said, well, I have a really big friend group at school, 15 to 20 girls in her friend group at high school. And she said, a whole bunch of them stay up really late, and I have to have my phone on so I can reply to them. She said, a whole bunch don't sleep well. In the middle of the night, they text me, and I have to reply to them. And then she said, the funniest part, she said, and I don't know why, but there's a bunch of swimmers in my friend group. If anyone's a swimmer, they're up at 4 in the morning to go swimming. And she says, they're texting me. And so I just said to her, what if you told them, I love you guys, but I'm struggling. I need to go to bed. My phone's going to be off at 9, and I'll turn it on at 7. And she said, well, what if? And I'm like, play the what if game. Just go and ask and see. A few weeks later, she comes to my talk, another talk I'm doing, and I'm like, hey, how did it go? And she said, interesting. My entire friend group now turns off their phone at 9 o'clock and turns it on at 7 in the morning. You don't have to follow what everyone else is doing. And number 3, use your screen time apps. It allows you to see what you're doing. Some resources, and we're done. So I am a curator, I'm a collector of stuff, and so my website is packed with if you click on blog, you'll see all the things that I speak on, and categorized sermon series and books and quotes. You will also, that panel right here that says choruses, if you wait a second, it will move over to the media. I have a media navigating everything Google Doc for this talk. Links, people you should follow, all kinds of other things. And you can't see it, but right in the middle of my social media is my Amazon A. And if you click on it, it is my Amazon shop with just links to books. Last night was marriage, today is media, I have someone parenting, but you just click on whatever topic you need. I've read every book in these, and I would just encourage you, we need to be reading our scriptures, but have other books on the go. Have a book on marriage if we're married. Have a book on parenting if you have children. Just have books on the go that you're reading on different topics. I do have my parenting talk and my talk on men available on Right Now Media. You as a church have Right Now Media. I saw the slide. This is a small group thing, but you can do it with your spouse or with a friend. And as I said last night, my wife always says, Brett, your talk, Men Navigating Everything, is great for women. And I always kind of say my rebuttal, which is, honey, I am never doing a talk called Women Navigating Everything by Brett Ullman. The mansplaining that would happen in an hour-long talk. You could learn from that, ladies. I did write it for men. I did recently film this talk into a small group series, and my marriage talk we filmed and is coming out hopefully next month. I would encourage you to read. Choose any book you want. Jonathan Haidt is one of the leaders, and so is Jean Twenge, but there's so many wonderful books you could read. These, by the way, other than one of them, are non-faith-based books. If you're an author, I just think we as faith-based authors need to have almost a more holistic view sometimes of all of these discussions and conversations. And during COVID, I released a 3-year journey, which was realizing people aren't reading. I made one large kind of encyclopedia handbook on parenting, 7 chapters on parenting, 1 itself on family discipleship, and then there's 9 mini books. Each book has its own bibliography, so rather than buying books on all those, and the last 9 chapters can be read by students, kind of middle school and above. It's not just parenting. And it's there's a study guide with questions and an audible book. Last slide for our morning. And I come back to this question, is what you're currently doing helping support the life you're working towards? And I just say this, we can do this, we can. But we don't just fall into this, right? We don't fall into a good faith. We don't fall into a good marriage. We don't fall into good tech use. We have to be strategic and intentional in what we do and how we do these things. I end all my talks the same these days. There's a book called The Power of Moments by Dan and Chip Heath, and it's a very powerful idea of moments matter. Your faith is built in moments. Every time you are engaging somehow with faith in God. Your parenting is built in moments. Today, in this conversations, our media and tech use is built in moments. And then John Maxwell says one of my favorite lines. He says, when you are challenged by any speaker, anytime, any place, choose one thing. What is one thing I said this morning, and you're like, that's for me, that's for my family. But then he says the hardest thing. He says, you only have 3 days to do something about it, or you never will. So today's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. By Wednesday night, if you haven't made a single change in your life on anything we talked about this morning, statistics say you won't. And the goal of a talk like this is just to have a conversation, to think of what we're going to cling to, what we're going to dump off. How are we going to engage in these things differently? I answer all my own emails. I will stay out and chat with anyone as long as you want. Thank you and your staff for bringing me in for both marriage last night and this morning. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
We do have Right Now Media, and those talks are really good. And so if you've enjoyed what you've heard this morning, I encourage you to go and check that out. Coffee is available, and time of fellowship is valuable together as a community. So enjoy that, and let me just pray, and that'll be it for today. God, thanks for this morning. Thanks for this opportunity just to sit and listen and absorb information, but God, in it to hear your voice too, calling your church, calling your people to put their attention and their time and to invest it wisely. God, I pray that you would, in each home and in each family and in each person, you would give wisdom and encouragement and discernment to know how and where to make change that is the best and that will have the most impact, so that ultimately in all things and in all relationships, we would live for you. We love you, Jesus, and we just pray for a blessed Sunday and a blessed week. In your name, amen. Thanks, guys.